Welcome to my next Better Call Saul Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am every rewatching or watching Better Call Saul, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen Better Call Saul all the way through one time. In fact, I actually did reviews of Season 6 of Better Call Saul once I caught up to the Season 6. Actually, I did all the episodes of Season 6. So if you want to catch those, if you've already seen every single episode of Better Call Saul, click right here with about 20 seconds left to go in the video. That will be the link to my Better Call Saul Season 6 playlist. And if you're a Breaking Bad fan, which you should be, I've reviewed every single episode of Breaking Bad. I've ranked the seasons, I've ranked my favorite characters, and I've ranked the episodes. You can click right here for that, again, with about 20 seconds left to go in the video. So, I'm a big fan of the show. It's definitely one of my top favorite shows of all time. Definitely top 12-ish, might even be as high as 6. Wanted to rewatch the show. I want to do detailed reviews for all of you. So with all that said, this will be Better Call Saul Season 4, Episode 3. The title of this episode is called Something Beautiful. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. So Victor lays down a spike strip and drives Arturo's car over it, shedding the tires. Nacho is following in a Cadillac Escalade while Tyrus shatters glass shards and bullet casings. Nacho watches as the two men remove Arturo's body from the trunk, place it in the driver's seat of the car, then shoot up the vehicle with their pistols. After emptying 2 magazines each, Victor puts a bullet in the side of Arturo's head. Nacho is then forced to get into the vehicle where Victor shoots him in the shoulder. After Nacho exits the car, Victor comes up behind him and shoots him in the gut, which Tyrus says it needed to make it look real. So Arturo's death has been staged to look like an ambush with Nacho as a witness. As Nacho lies on the ground, Tyrus leaves him a cell phone and advises that he call for help while he still can. Jimmy meets with Mike and details his latest scheme. He wants Mike to break into Neff copiers, steal Mr. Neff's valuable Hummel figurine, and replace it with a near-identical knockoff, after which Jimmy and Mike will split the profit, and then they sell the original. Mike passes on the opportunity for easy money, saying that this job isn't for him or for Jimmy. Mike offers his condolences over Chuck's death. Disappointed, Jimmy leaves the diner. Outside, he phones Dr. Caldera's veterinary office. His goldfish is sick. The cousins arrive at the scene of the stage shooting and examine clues. They find Nacho's blood trail and follow it to Nacho himself, who is weak from blood loss and exposure to sun. Inside their own vehicle, Marco examines Nacho's wounds and asks about the shooters, who Nacho claims drove a silver Firebird. Leonel sets Arturo's car on fire before he and Marco drive away with Nacho. Kim returns to work at Mesa Verde with a new paralegal, Viola Gatto. During a meeting with Paige discussing Mesa Verde's pending acquisitions, Kevin enters the room. Kevin greets Kim, offers his condolences about Chuck, and asks how Jimmy is handling his death. Kim claims that he's getting through it. She is then shown a room with agricultural models of Mesa Verde's many planned branches and appears apprehensive. Kim feels overwhelmed by her task ahead and asks Viola to get started on new Mesa Verde filings instead of her. She further asks to be driven to the courthouse instead of home. A frustrated Jimmy waits for Caldera to finish a cell phone call in an adjacent room. Jimmy barges in the room and Caldera tells him that his contact is not interested in the job. Despite Caldera's protest, Jimmy breaks protocol by taking the phone and talking to the contact directly. Managing to set up a meeting, he leaves Caldera's office with his goldfish and passes Leonel as he walks out the door. The cousins enlist Caldera into stitching up a delirious Nacho, driving both of them to an undisclosed location. After the procedure, Nacho wakes up to find that Caldera has set up a blood transfusion between him and Marco. Caldera informs Nacho that he had to leave the bullet in his shoulder, advising him to visit doctors with imaging equipment and gives him instructions on properly healing his injuries. He further tells Nacho that he never wants to see him again as he doesn't want to get caught up in the business of the cartel. Jimmy's contact, Ira, who we saw in Season 5 of Breaking Bad, he's like the head of Vamonos Pests, uses a credit card to bridge the door alarm at Neff Copiers and sneak inside Mr. Neff's office. There, he manages to switch the Hummel figurines. He's startled when Mr. Neff emerges from a bathroom, in the office. He has been kicked out of the house by his wife after he got her a vacuum cleaner as a gift. Ira, trapped, is forced to hide underneath Mr. Neff's desk, listening as he drinks scotch, argues with his wife over the phone, and calls to order pizza. Eventually, Ira is able to phone Jimmy to explain the situation, demanding that Jimmy come pick him up. Ira continues hiding under the desk while Mr. Neff eats pizza, plays solitaire, and listens to a self-help CD. Both men hear a car alarm go off outside, which Mr. Neff realizes is coming from his vehicle. He steps outside the store to deactivate the car alarm, but Ira is not able to leave the office. Jimmy, who's outside, tries to use a clothes hanger to break into Mr. Neff's car, again tripping the car alarm. Mr. Neff, now irritated, leaves his office again and sees his car rolling backwards through the parking garage. As he chases after it, Ira is able to leave the store. In an alley nearby, Ira compliments Jimmy on the trick he pulled with the car. The following day, Gus Fring gets a call from Juan Bolsa informing him of the apparent attack on Arturo and Nacho, noting the similarities to prior hits on Hector Salamanca's trucks, both of which were actually Mike's doing. Gus and Juan Bolsa agree to run dummy loads over the border until the culprits are identified. When Gus tells him that no more than a week's supply of product is left, Juan Bolsa orders him to go ignore edicts from Don Hilado and find a supplier north of the border. After ending the call, Gus walks into a college chemistry lab where he meets with Gail Bedecker. Of course, Gail Bedecker from Season 3 of Breaking Bad. Gail presents Gus with samples of crystal meth, which he labels not good samples because of their impurity, and asks for an opportunity to produce higher grade samples himself. Gus refuses for the time being, telling Gail he is meant for better things. Kim looks over Viola's filings when Jimmy wakes up late. After Viola leaves, Kim approaches Jimmy with some documents from her meeting with Howard Hamlin, namely a release stating that Jimmy agrees not to contest his $5,000 inheritance from Chuck and the unopened personal letter. Jimmy opens and reads the letter aloud, in which Chuck, writing before the events of the series, expresses approval of Jimmy for turning his life around by working in the HHM mailroom, and says he is proud of Jimmy as a brother. Jimmy is not emotionally affected by the letter, given that it was written before he became a lawyer, and Chuck's final words to him, if you remember what that was, he didn't even give a shit about him. Kim, however, breaks down crying and then leaves the room, and that's what ends this episode of Better Call Saul. So I'm going to score the episode an 8.2 out of 10. I like the stuff with Ira a lot, even though he wasn't a huge focal point. My characters of the episode, even though he didn't have much dialogue, Nacho, just what he had to put himself through to make that thing look as real as possible. And then for the emotional breakdown at the end, I'm going to give it to Kim Wexler. So Kim and Nacho are the characters of the episode. So you've heard everything I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, if you're a fan of Better Call Saul, if you're a fan of El Camino, which you should be a fan of all of them if you're watching this video, and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider Hulk smashing the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Better Call Saul. What would you score this episode, and whom would you choose as characters of the episode? I know Jimmy is the character of almost every episode of Better Call Saul, but beside him, that's what I'm looking at. Every once in a while I give it to him, though. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. And also, don't forget to see my Better Call Saul Season 6 reviews. If you've seen every single episode right there, check out my Breaking Bad reviews and everything else right here. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your family support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.